It's not another Buffalo podcast with John.
Boy, Phoebe.
Pat.
I'm just a dad talking in a closet.
And Brando.
They're not even eating Doritos. They're eating the knockoff Doritos that don't have the cheese powder on them.
Those are called tortilla chips, Brandon. Back to Not Another Buffalo podcast. I'm John. I'm here with Pat and Brando here on a Tuesday evening following the Monday Night Football debacle that we all just watched last night. You can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Before we get into things, I want to thank our sponsor, Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, our guy Zach Korzelius, you can call him at 585-409-1088. That's 585-409-1088. or smallcityrealestate.com. Check him out. I'll have his email in the show notes if you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York. So, boys, I feel like I'm going to have to break out the bleep button a couple times for this one. So, all that to say, it's okay. The filter's down today. We're going to say what we say. You know, where do you guys want to start? Does anyone want to start off with a rant? Do you want to just get right into it with a rant?
I think what you said, the word that you let off with, is the perfect word, debacle, because this team makes no sense to me. I'm very confused because back-to-back October losses are part of the Buffalo Bills' life. It happens.
A tradition unlike any other.
Yeah, every year do the same thing. And then Brandon Beane is like, oh, I got to trade for somebody and because I didn't construct the team perfectly and, we're missing something. And then they go on a run after the trade, whatever it is. And then we still don't have enough and we get to the playoffs and we lose. But besides the point, this year, the debacle to me is that this offense is wild, first of all. Josh Allen sacked a bunch last night again, and he has been sacked 12 times in 6 games this year. Do you remember how many times he was sacked last year?
18, I think.
Less.
Total? Less? 16?
Less.
15?
14.
14 times last year.
Less than once per game.
Less than once a game, which was a career low. I mean, that was a career low. Previous seasons, I went back to look at 2019. Sacked 38 times. That's okay. That's Josh with John Brown and Beasley for the first time, getting good. Then it went to 26 with Diggs, 26 with Diggs, 33 with Diggs, 24 with Diggs, and then 14 last year and 12 so far in 6 games. And I can't even give you a pace of the number that is on for the whole season because he got sacked like 5 times a couple of weeks ago. He gets sacked like 4 more times yesterday. We're 6 games in.
Over,
so we would be a third.
3.5 to 4.
We're closer to a third then. Anyways, either way, he's getting sacked a lot. Basically, he's on pace to be sacked as much as he was in 2019, which is like, what is going on? And we have this glorious, fruitful, expensive offensive line, and we have all this defensive line, and we have these mid, and I say mid not even as an insult, but we have mid players all over this roster because that's how Brandon Beane has decided to structure the roster. Your defense gets absolutely torched, but they figured it out. They figured it out in the second half, and your offense can't do it. And if you said that the opposing teams would score 23 and 21 points and you would lose, I think that's terrible. I remember Sean McDermott saying once it was like 20. They wanted the defense number to be at 20 because they think they could win every game with 20 points. And if you just, I went back, I was running a bunch of errands. I went back and rewatched some highlights, and there's no one for him to throw to ever. And James Cook gets no catches. Ty Johnson gets no catches. Ray Davis got a catch and scored. Believe it or not. Believe it or not.
I know. This was weird.
And the way that the lack of foresight has put them here, but I'm trying to remember that it happens every year and not overreact. But all of the core problems that I've had with McDermott for the last 4 years are just always there. I'll say them after a win. I'll say them after a loss. So I've said them 100 times. I don't need to say them again. But they got to figure it out. You got to figure it out on offense. I don't care if you let Atlanta score 21 points in the first half. Just go score 22 points. It's fine.
Yeah.
So they got to do something. And I think the offense needs it more than the defense. We put that poll up last week. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling here. But I think the offense clearly needs something.
Well, Brandon, you know where we were after 6 games last year.
4-2.
4-2. And
and we were before that.
Well, I was gonna say, and had we
4-2.
Well, I can't even think of who it was.
Amari Cooper.
Someone, but
Every
in that
year,
Jets game, they missed 3 field goals. Had they made one of them, then it's going into overtime at 23-23. So I don't know. We could have very easily been 3-3 at this point last year.
every one of the last 6 years, they've either been 4-2 or 5-1 was 1 year in like 2022. I think they started 5-1. So very consistently at this point, they have their 2 losses in the column. But tough part about this year is like, man, the 1 seed is just like right there for the taking. It's like it's almost like a microcosm of the way the Falcons played last night. It felt like the Falcons they had an awesome first half. And in the second half, somehow they took every possible opportunity to give that game back to the Bills. Yep. It's like whether it was Michael Penix throwing the ball into Shaq Thompson's hands, whether it was the Falcons going 3 and out a couple times, all of that to say, the Ravens are 1-5. The Chiefs are what? 3-2, 3-3 now, yeah. Even.
Looking fantastic, like, getting Rashee Rice added to the receiver room of Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Rashee Rice. Yeah. So. Yeah. So you got that.
Respect to Brian Branch. We didn't even mention Juju because he doesn't know where he's at right now. But,
but I was going to say, like, the Ravens game initially, I was ready to have this big Brandon Beane conversation and circle back to the comments made on WGR over the summer. And because of the way that game turned out, which again, maybe this is a lesson in like maybe look at the context of the game and how it went along and maybe not just singularly the outcome, because that's why we're circling back to this conversation now. But I'm ready to circle back to that because like that Beane crash out over the summer, the problem with that to me isn't just him being rude to some radio hosts or anything like that. It's nothing personal, but what that represents to me and the problem with that is that he has an ego attached to this roster build. You know what I mean? Like that showed that this team is his baby and he didn't like when it was criticized or his actions were criticized, right? He like fought back. He fought back against that rather than what we usually see from these guys, which is the typical, like, we're trying to get better every day. We're doing all we can. Because I don't think I would have had a problem with, Brandon Beane's response on that day or throughout this entire process if he had been like, hey, maybe we're not exactly where we want to be, but I don't have the resources or the cap to just go do everything. Instead, it was, we put up 30 points a game, we're fine, right? And all we were asking as fans was not questioning the results necessarily of that, but we were questioning, is everybody eats sustainable? And the answer is quite plainly, no, it's not sustainable. Like Josh's sack numbers are up this year. It's not the offense that we saw at the end of last year. When was the last time you remember a Bills team going 3 and out like 4 times in a row or punting 4 drives in a row in that second half? Like that should not happen on an offense that has Josh Allen and much less with an offense that has James Cook on it too. $48 million man who only saw 50% of snaps last night. His second lowest snap count of the year, I think.
Yeah. Bill's offense regularly gets into these lulls, though. Regularly. Under Sean McDermott. Yeah. Except sometimes they can bail out of it, which they almost did. To the credit of the Bills. I thought they were going to win. I thought they were going to be able to get that play. The interception would have done it. That would have been exactly what we were looking for. Everybody seems off rhythm, like you said, but the ego thing is such an important part of this because McDermott has an ego too, to the point that he changed his entire philosophy to run the ball, slow the game down, create less possessions. We're going to win because you can only score 22, but we scored 21 and a half. So it's fine. But the egos of both of them come together. McDermott, you see it on the field. Beane, you see it how he builds the guys. And it drives me crazy. Like you said, I would much rather hear when somebody's making a mistake, my bad. I did that. My bad. Like for everybody, for anything ever, kids, adults, old people, young people, my bad. Take accountability. You couldn't go sign. You couldn't get an AJ Brown because his cap hits $25 million. You couldn't go get Chris Olave because they wanted 2 first-round picks. You couldn't go do this because of that. Like, just say it. It's fine. It doesn't have to be some secret because what we see on the field, what you see on the field is the same thing, but like you're the one in power to change it. And you did try. You got Joshua Palmer.
Yeah. Well, that was a big loss yesterday too. I feel like.
Yeah.
Talk about. But.
And then he's going to go on and say, look at Joshua Palmer started out really hot and we just had injuries. But like we always have injuries now. We lost the stretch of being healthy all the time. You can't count on that. You can count on people being injured. You can't hope. I hate the hope plan. Don't tell me about hope. Go make it happen. And we have the depth. We just don't have the top end guy. We needed a blue chip guy on offense or defense that's not named Josh Allen.
And probably the biggest example of that is I don't know. I love Keon Coleman. I don't want to harp on him, but probably that, that sequence where they had the asset to get a wide receiver that was going to make a difference. And I don't know if that would, the easy answer is probably Lad McConkey or something like that. It's probably not a Xavier Worthy, even though he's looked pretty good, but
perfect for this offense.
I don't know, like that Keon Coleman pick, that whole draft looks really tough in hindsight already. Like if you go top to bottom on that draft, it's like, what did you the best? What's the best pick you got out of that? It's a D tackle who's like flashing here and there.
He looks good. He does look good.
Yeah, he does. To be fair, that's awesome. That's great. But you got to hit on more than one pick in a draft, and I think it's time for us to start talking about what have you done lately. And as far as these last 2-3 drafts, it's not really been, it's like as soon as you take away the I drafted Josh Allen defense, it kind of breaks down a little bit after that. Like this team hasn't drafted as well as its direct competitors, as well as the Ravens, as well as the Chiefs. And that, I know that there's limitations on acquiring talent when it comes to salary cap and all that stuff and who you can attract by how much cap you have available. But you got to get players to the draft in order to build this sustainable roster. And I know they've been, they have a very high floor as a team, right? They have that. But, we've had 6 years in a row of a playoff win and then a playoff loss, or some combination of that, going back to Houston when we actually just lost in the wildcard round. But that's not good enough. And I think that this year is the last year where that's an out for this coaching staff. And it's like, you talk about having the hope, Brandon. It's like, I think that the hope is attached to, well, we have Josh Allen, we'll be fine. That's not a roster build plan, right? Like that's
might be for them.
It might be. That's a fan sentiment, but that's a crutch. That is if it weren't for Josh Allen, like this regime would not be currently employed.
Correct.
It's as easy as that. So I don't know. I think sometimes, the ones who got you there are not maybe the ones to take you to the promised land. And that's the tough decision or the tough impasse. And I would love so much if they prove me wrong this year. They come out of the bye, they look like a different team. Maxwell Hairston comes back and maybe Shaq Thompson explodes. Is like, those linebackers have been playing better than starters. At least that's like a small bright spot you have there. And the wide receivers play out of their minds, and we trade for AJ Brown, and he has a small cap hit this year because I think his cap hit is less than $1 million actually this year if they traded for him right now. So I don't know, like that could all come to fruition and this is all for naught. But I think it's important to look at the cracks when we see them, because winning covers a lot of stuff. And like, again, when we were 4-0, didn't have to talk about this stuff this much, even though we were kind of seeing it. We still did. And, a lot of the film guys did, but
Pat,
I don't know.
Insight from Mike, Phillies guy, right? Or Eagles guy. What's he think about AJ Brown?
Well, I think that much like many Eagles fans, he's just going to say cry about it and we'll keep winning games, which if you want him to be okay and have the Eagles potentially still win games, I think it could work out in our favor.
AJ Brown doesn't like that though. He said that after the Super Bowl. He measures success on himself, not on the team. Yeah, I'll take him. You come measure your success over here, buddy. Yeah,
I'll sign up for that. Yeah.
Well, I
feed him the ball for a year.
But I was definitely interested, like you guys said. I thought the linebacker play was interesting, and I did feel like I was holding my breath when TB went down. So I guess that was a good sign to see, Shaq and Dorian playing pretty well. And even though I always tell Elizabeth, like, Joe Andreessen should never be on the field unless it's a punt or a kickoff. But
right.
I don't know. I think it was interesting. What did you guys think about Jordan Poyer pulling a Pete Rose and player coaching himself in there? It worked. I mean, ultimately,
that was, I don't think that's the most mainstream use of pulling a Pete Rose, but I was going to say, well, this was like, I don't know, it was like a Bills Legends tour, right? Where it's like, these are guys that you expect a year ago. If you had to bet, will this person play for the Bills again, or will they first be a Bills legend of the game? Both those guys you would have expected to be a Bills legend of the game before they were in there taking meaningful snaps, right? Meaningful snaps. It's like, it's 2025 and Jordan Poyer is like, don't get me wrong, love the history, all that, but it's like, are we going to get Gabe Davis after the bye? I think we're heading towards that.
Yeah.
I think everyone just needs to emotionally prepare for Gabe Davis to be in the lineup and taking snaps away from Keon Coleman because they're not liking what they see. It's just tough. We can talk about it in circles, but the receivers don't separate, and they might be good downfield separators, but you need that guy who gets loose within 2.5 seconds so Josh has an easy button throw. And I want to say that, Allen did struggle in this game. He made some questionable decisions, threw a couple picks, but I think that Josh doesn't start pushing the envelope until he's forced to. Yep. Like, it's when the offense is rolling, you see him in a flow state and he makes better decisions. But as soon as the game starts going like it's going and he has to be Superman, sometimes when he starts pushing that envelope, that's when the mistakes happen. That's when the crazy plays happen. When he feels like he has to go above and beyond and outside of his role and his identity and stuff like that. And it's like, if he had receivers that could separate in the first place, I don't think we'd ever get to that place.
I don't like when the Bills developed him the way that they did. They knew he needed guys to get open. Remember they tried Calvin Benjamin, big tall guy. Let's throw it up to him. That didn't work.
Not getting open.
Oh wait, John Brown separates. He's fast. Cole Beasley's a great route runner. He gets open. Let's throw it to open guys. Bingo. The dude's a superstar instantly. Like week 1 of Diggs, Beasley, Brown, Knox, Singletary on the team. Allen's a superstar. And then you go away from what made him so great because you think that he is now able to make other people run the routes the same way that Cole Beasley did. Like, I'm not trying to knock Allen, but like it's a thing with life in general. If I teach a kid how to read, I'm not giving him Shakespeare the next day. And I feel like McDermott and Bean are like, Allen's fine. He can read all that crap. He can do it all, but he doesn't. And it's also amazing how fast defenses picked up on it last year and just blitzed the crap out of Allen because he was so good against the blitz for 4 straight years. Just the number 1 quarterback in the league. Best
guys got open.
Best guy against a blitz. Best guy against man coverage because he could run. And you take away what made the team great and you expected it to be the same. It's not the same. You can't expect the same thing with different people there. You can't expect that.
Yeah. The formula is now it's like there's no threats on the outside for the Bills, right? So it's like their best receiver is probably Khalil in the slot, but outside there's nothing that threatens them. So basically you can go out there and play press man coverage. Just be like, okay, our 2 corners are taking away your 2 guys on the outside and we'll worry about all the stuff on the inside. When you do that and you don't need to divert safety help, you don't need to divert nickel corner help, you don't need to play zone or anything like that, or you can just man up on the outside and play zone on the inside and then send extra. You also have the availability of extra blitzers at that point because you have more men to send at the quarterback. That's what the Falcons were doing. They're like, we don't respect Keon Coleman. He's not going to get open. We're going to throw our best corner on Keon Coleman, take him out of pretty much the entire game plan, and then send an extra guy to blitz because he doesn't pose a downfield threat or an immediate get open threat, on, a quick hook or a quick in or a quick out or anything like that. So it makes it very easy for defenses to scheme against. It's the whole seeing more single high, extra guy in the box, and just the trickle down effects of all of that. It makes the run game harder too, because you can have extra guys in the box. So it makes James Cook's job more difficult. And I don't know. It's just it's very clear what this team needed. Josh Palmer had good stats in that regard as far as an early separator, but he's still he's not above the 75th percentile. He's not a difference maker guy. He's just Josh Palmer is Josh Palmer. He's going to get 2 catches a game for an average of 20 to 40 yards. Yeah. It's like that's the player that you're getting. That wasn't something that your offense can lean on. So in theory, I like the everybody eats thing, but I think we've seen some pretty stark examples of what a next level player can do to a defense on a weekly basis, whether that's Stephon Diggs going for over 100, where that's Drake London going for 1 million receptions for 1 million yards, and Bijan as well. So I don't know.
Well, I think that it's interesting how you guys say that. And I do think it was some very heavy boxes, like basically all night, 8-man box. So then it's like, I guess if you are Joe Brady, you're like, okay, whatever. 31 personnel, I'm going to make everyone watch double wing football. And I feel like that gets a lot more difficult when you're cycling through offensive linemen and also your best tight end. He's debatable, but your best tight end isn't even playing. So it's like, I feel like you're extra one-dimensional in that sense. I mean, would you feel more comfortable if there are 8 or 9 guys in the box all game, but we got, 31 personnel with all 3 guys ready to go?
No.
No.
It's not the best use of Josh Allen, right?
No.
It's like,
yeah.
And I don't know. It's Joe Brady. I think he's done an admirable job so far, but it's hard to tell. A great job. It's hard to tell because Josh covers up so many deficiencies otherwise, right? It's kind of like all the years where Tom Brady had mediocre receiving cores and he just put Band-Aids over the rest of the team because he was so good. And I think that's what Josh is doing here. It's like he covers up the deficiencies of a mediocre roster. They have a good offensive line, great running back. But outside that, on the offensive side of the ball, there's nothing really to write home about. You're expecting him to be Superman on every week. And that's not a game plan, for sustainable roster build or anything like that. It's like all these other teams, they seem to have a way to scheme guys open. And it never seems like our guys are open downfield like other teams are. It's like, and that's because other teams force you into zone. But it's like, if you don't even get past that first layer of dictating what a defense does or how they're going to play you and they're dictating the terms, it's like you never get past that initial thing. So I don't know.
3 things to what you said. First thing, Tom Brady did cover the Band-Aids to the point of 6 Super Bowls. Allen is not covering these Band-Aids. Like we didn't win in the playoffs. We haven't won in the playoffs. We are winning regular season games. We're still losing regular season games, and it's incredibly difficult. Brady made it look easy, I think. Allen is not, I don't think it's his fault. I don't think it's a knock on Allen, but I don't think it's fair to put those two together on comparing the Band-Aids because Brady did it better than anybody ever. And I think it's part of his coach that he had who was better than everybody ever. And Allen doesn't have that. So I don't think that's a fair comparison. Part 2 is the Bills have had the number 1 single high coverage look since the beginning of last year. We are now a season and a third into film on this everybody eats garbage. And every game at the stadium when I'm watching them, the defense looks ridiculous. If you're playing Madden, it's engage 8. It is cover 1 blitz. It's everybody moves up. It's so obvious. You can't see it as much on TV, but all those season ticket holders, if you're listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. Unless they put the Madden view on, which they should be having a camera angle on that for a whole broadcast. But
or you're watching the All-22.
All-22, yes. You can see a stark difference from how this team is getting played now versus how they got played 3 or 4 years ago. This was a problem with Diggs on the roster. They would put a corner and a safety over Diggs, and everybody else had free reign because we didn't have another guy with Diggs that could take pressure off Diggs. That's why this problem is 3 or 4 years old, and it has never been dealt with. We had 2 or 3 seasons where it worked.
Because Cole Beasley and John Brown. But like Cole Beasley and John Brown in tandem with Diggs, like we haven't seen that level of receiver play since.
No,
and that's probably been it's probably as simple as that, right?
Yeah, and we saw it happen every year. Those last 2 years with Diggs, he starts off hot. Teams get film on him. They see how to slow him down, and there's not another option. So Diggs gets like 800 yards in the first 8 games and gets 200 yards or 300 yards in the last 8 games. And it's difficult. Last thing, Joe Brady said this last week in an article talking about the Bills offense, that usually at the end of the year, they'll go through and watch like every play that happened around the league, which it's a lot, right? A lot of offensive plays throughout 32 teams. You could probably cross off the bottom 10 because nobody's watching Cleveland or Tennessee or whatever. Anyways, but Joe Brady said that he tries to watch these things and take concepts from what other teams are doing. And I thought that was an interesting quote because if he had just watched the own games of the Bills, teams playing against the Bills, he would see what Andy Reid schemes open, and he would see what Michael Penix is throwing to, and he would see all of these receivers running wide open. I mean, Baker Mayfield, watch a couple Tampa games, Joe. I don't know. Watch a couple Detroit Lions games, Joe. He's got talent all over the place. And how can you sit here and watch all over the league and come back and be like, man, have you played the new Madden with the Bills yet? It's the same way you beat them in Madden that you do in real life. You just stack the box. Nobody gets open. You have to run with Josh every single time. So it's one of these things. I thought it was interesting that Joe said that last week, that he's trying to do it earlier this year, so they're doing it now instead of at the end of the season, which I thought was an interesting point that he had to say that. Like, he didn't have to tell us when you did it. You just have to tell us that you do it. But he said, usually it's at the end of the season, but they're doing it now. So like, let's turn on some Matt LaFleur. Let's turn on some Mike McDaniels even. Let's turn on any offensive head coach's scheme. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, well, caveat to that too, I think we can all agree that Joe Brady isn't an A+ offensive coordinator, right? We put him in the B-, B+, B+.
I don't think we'll ever know what he truly is as long as he's working under Sean McDermott.
But I think we can all get on board with this, that the primary issue is the lack of speed or talent at wide receiver, right? Yes. Because if you look across the league and you talk about, like, just look at like one of the best offensive minds in the league, Andy Reid, right? Last 2 years of the Chiefs, what does their offense look like? Kind of like put last year in a bottle, right? Not great. Honestly, they were missing Rashee Rice with injury for most of the year. They didn't really have, I mean, you're depending on Juju Smith-Schuster and those guys. That offense, and Travis Kelce was having kind of a rough year. That offense, even with one of the greatest offensive minds, greatest quarterback, all that stuff, struggled like mightily.
They didn't score 30 points until the AFC Championship game. I mean, that's an insane stat.
Yeah. This year, it looks like the old Mahomes is back, right? Is that a coincidence? Because they have Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, and I know they're going to get Rashee Rice back. They've got Tyquan Thornton, who's, in a contributing role now. It's like the biggest difference between those two teams, roster construction wise, is that the receiving room got better.
Crazy.
And that makes all the difference in the world, because it has such a trickle down effect, from how defenses play you to, it's like that second or third guy is going to get open more often when you've got a better first and second guy, and they can't just lock you down man to man. So I don't know. I think that's the biggest difference here. And when that ties back to being totally overconfident in his wide receiving room in the offseason and not spending any resources getting that wide receiver room better, and then defending it blatantly on WGR, like, how dare you criticize, my choices at the wide receiver position. That's where I start to get into the, oh my God, the sky is falling kind of thing. And I'm not, you guys know me, I'm not a panic button kind of guy. I'm like, it's like a 17 game season. You just make it to the playoffs and hope you get lucky at a certain point. And we haven't, in that last game of the year. But I don't know. I have a hard time believing that come the AFC Championship game this year, it's not going to be the same exact story where it's like, we're trying to extend drives. We're trying to grind out 4 yards of carry from James Cook. We're struggling to keep up with Kansas City's offense. The defense looks like he can't buy a stop on defense. And Josh Allen is willing the team to try to make it to 29, 30 points for that game instead of lighting it up like at the end of 13 seconds where they had, significant wide receiver talent. So I think they got to make a move for a wide receiver at the deadline. I think it's like send 3 first-round picks. I don't care at this point. It's like salvage the future, because it's like Josh Allen only has so many years left. Every single Josh Allen contract year is precious, right? He's almost 30. We're all almost 30. It's like in a couple of years here, he's going to, I don't know, we're 5 years away from like, oh, Josh Allen is no longer the running stallion that he's been. I don't think I want to go down the whole roster rebuild thing unless we've already won a Super Bowl, right?
Well, that would be, I mean, do you get, is Brandon Beane good enough to deserve 2 roster rebuilds?
Probably.
I don't know. It's tough.
I think you just get a different coach. Give me offensive head coach.
All right. Sean McDermott.
I'll let Bean do the rebuild again. And also, I don't mean to cut you off, Pat. Go ahead and finish what you're going to say.
No, I was going to say, Sean's just he's the Doug Collins of this story. So hopefully the Phil Jackson we bring in is cooler and more suave than we could ever imagine.
Cooler.
Yeah. Well, John, a lot of people that listen to our show that are friends of mine, and by a lot of people, I mean like 3 people texted me about our comment, your comment saying, Sean McDermott's good enough to keep him in it and not good enough to win it, right? So I think it's an interesting conversation if you really want to go into it. You want to talk about the rebuilding. Think about trading these draft picks. I have been on trade all these freaking picks while we have Josh Allen for 4 years now. 4 years. And the window to do that, I think, has closed. Because you need a linebacker, you need a corner, you need a safety, you need a D end, and you need a wide receiver.
So you need a defense and a wide receiver. Is this like fantasy where we can just draft the whole defense at once?
Oh, is this Brandon Beane over here?
I just feel like you need the picks now because you have holes that are bigger than you ever had. And the year that we drafted Kyer Elam, should have traded that first round pick. The year that we drafted Kincaid, I'm cool with that. I think Kincaid's a good player. Last year, trading down.
I was going to say,
Cole Bishop, he's a real asset. I'm so glad he's on the squad, bro.
I'm going to read the 2024 draft and you tell me if you wouldn't be comfortable sending picks 1 through 3.
I'll send
away
1 through
for
7.
a single asset.
Ricky Williams,
right,
this. Let's do it.
Ricky Williams it. All right. Round 2, pick 33, Keon Coleman. Round 2, pick 60, Cole Bishop. Dwayne Carter, Ray Davis, Cedric Van Granger, Edufan Ulufoshio, Javon Solomon, Tylen Grable, Daquan Hardy, Travis Clayton.
I mean, Solomon did have a sack yesterday, but that being said, yeah, Ricky Williams, man.
Would you not trade Keon Coleman, Cole Bishop, and Dwayne Carter for AJ Brown?
Yeah, throw in Ray Davis, dude, honestly.
Yeah, Ray Davis, I honestly, like, that's a story for a different day. It was great that he caught a touchdown, but he kind of looks like a shell of himself.
He does, dude,
he had a lot of promising tape last year and hasn't, unfortunately.
I would take Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt over Raymond and James Cook at this point.
So. Oh, Raymond and James Cook? That's a different story if you're throwing James Cook into there.
James, yeah.
I might keep James Cook in that equation, but
does it worry you when we talk? Because I've been on the trade every pick you have while you have Josh Allen for like 4 or 5 years now, but we have so many holes on this team. Christian Benford is like the 72nd rated cornerback.
That's tough.
Yeah, he wasn't even healthy for most of the game. I mean,
yeah, Christian Benford, I think that's something to worry about because he is a lockdown player, but you talk about, he got concussed at the end of last year, ended his season last year. He talked about approaching into training camp in some interviews and stuff like that his head felt fuzzy and he felt like it wasn't all the way there. So he's been getting treatment for that. But I mean, that I don't want to stress about it too much, but that feels like that Trent Edwards gets concussed and is never the same again. Like, and we never see.
I haven't thought of that.
It's just that worries me a lot. I mean, honestly, primarily for his own health. Yep. That's a scary thing to go through. Concussions are no joke. And that's what ended his season. And we haven't seen his dominant play. Like, he was one person we could count on. And it's kind of inexplicable, the regression that we've seen from him this year. So,
yep. And not only that
was something that you were counting on this year. It's just like a guaranteed, at least we have Christian Benford. We've got one corner. We got to figure out the other one. Now you have 0 corners.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. The guys you paid have not been worth it. Benford, not worth it. Bernard, also, you are getting beat in ways because these teams are running on you. Bernard is a guy that should play in space. Tough to get paid and do that. Ed Oliver has finally had one breakout game. We'll see if it keeps going. But
Milano can't stay on the field.
Milano didn't get a new contract, though. He reworked it, so he'll be a free agent at the end of this year. Samuel wasted. I love the guy, but wasted cap space. I mean, you take Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, their contract together is like $15 million. I mean, that's Darnell Mooney.
I think it's less than that. I think Curtis Samuel is 7 and Elijah is like 4.
I thought it was 9 and 5 or 9 and 6. I could be wrong.
Maybe Curtis's cap hit is bigger than 7 this year. I thought it was 7 on both years. But anyway,
between 8 and 7.
Not the point.
Point of it is this money that is being spent on mediocre pieces should be saved and bought something good with. And now I just think I'm nervous about the draft pick trades because how are you going to do this? I think about the teams with Drew Brees.
Here's the better question. Using those picks, how good of a chance are we looking based on recent history to get legitimate players to fill those holes?
Very, very limited. Very limited. But also,
if we're looking at the 2024 draft pick hit rate, are we hoping to hit 1 out of 8 picks as a significant contributor to the roster?
I'd be curious to look at league-wide hit rate for each year. So,
it's higher than that.
Yeah,
it's got to be higher than that.
But I think having Allen also diminishes the value of your picks. You have to trade 3 27th to 28th overall first round picks to move up to 4 overall based on the value chart.
Yep.
That's a lot of assets to give up. But I mean, we're just getting into the tough part. I think the window to trade all the picks was last year, the year before that, while we had Diggs. Like, I remember we talked about it. Like, ship these picks out of here. I don't want to watch a second round pick that you had Xavier Worthy or Ladd McConkey or any of those other receivers that have gone while Brandon Beane has been the GM of this ship. But my last thing. We can talk about this for 38 minutes and go round and round and round. How many seasons have the Bills lost back-to-back games in? When's the last time they didn't lose back-to-back games?
Pandemic, maybe?
I'm going to go 1994.
At
2020?
Wrong. 1991. Bills have lost back-to-back games since 1991. The 1990 season, Bills didn't lose back-to-back games. But we could be saying all of this stuff, and they come back and just light it up.
Yeah.
As uninspiring as it looked yesterday.
That's the magic of Josh Allen, right? Like, you have that. But again, I think if that's the case, we're going to learn the wrong lesson, and we're going to be having the same conversation in the offseason after an AFC championship loss or a Super Bowl loss, where it's like, well, we did enough to get there. Let's run it back, and I think that would be the wrong lesson learned. You know what I mean?
Or the loss is super egregious and they fire McDermott. We can root for that. I don't want to root for that. I don't want to root for that.
Yeah, that's tough. But anyway, let's pause the doom and gloom, get into some game picks here. Or actually, do you want to do a Sabres update before we get into the game picks? Just get the doom and gloom out of the way.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a fresh season. We are excited for this new edition of the Sabres team. Let's do a Sabres update.
All right, roll the intro.
It's time for the weekly Sabres update. This has been your weekly Sabres update.
Go ahead and roll us into game picks here, Brando.
Sabres suck. Yeah. Game picks, John. You forgot the most important part of game picks is.
You want me to recap?
I want you to recap.
Brando, did you go 6-0?
I sure did.
All right, 2 weeks ago. We got 2 weeks to recap here.
I'm screaming in my room right now. Like my child is down the hall asleep.
Luca, I went 6-0, my guy.
He's awake now. He's awake now. Pop the champagne to celebrate Brando's 6-0 week. All right, on that same week, Pat went 3-3, and I went a glorious 1-5 to bring my record to 10-20 at that point. While Brandon is at 19-11. Then Pat, you were at 14-16. Following week, Pat topped everybody, went 4-2. I went 2-4, and Brando kept it even keeled at 3-3. Overall records right now, Pat standing pat at 500 mark of 18-18. I am at 12-24, which I honestly should just be flipping coins at this point. And Brando, 24-14, a dominant 12-game lead over last place. I better enjoy this damn trophy in my room while it lasts, because this thing. I'm kissing it goodbye. I'm calling it. I don't think anyone's ever had a 12-game lead after week 6. So we're going to pull it together. I did purely vibes picks this time. No analysis, no nothing, but obviously no Bills game this week either. So we got 6 other games on the slate. Kick us off, Brando.
Battle of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh going into Cincinnati. Pittsburgh.
I'm sorry, what? Did you say Battle of Pennsylvania?
God, the Battle of the Rust Belt. I didn't mean Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Yeah, crop
That's
that
all right.
out.
No, you're good. You're good, dude. Cincinnati is a very Pennsylvania-like city. I'll give you that.
Battle of the Rust Belt cities. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. They are in 2 separate states. One is in Pennsylvania. One is in Ohio. If you forget about Ohio, that's okay. A lot of people do. The Pittsburgh Steelers are minus 5.5 point favorites going on the road into Cincinnati. I'm so flustered. I feel like Aaron Rodgers all the time now in his old age, but I'm still going to pick the Steelers in this game. Pat, what do you think?
What's the spread again? I'm sorry.
5.5.
5.5. Yeah, I'll go with the Steelers. Uncle Joe let me down last week.
All right, I'm just going vibes. I'm going to go Cincy. I think the older of the old men playing quarterback in the AARP matchup of the week is going to prevail here, or at least cover the spread. I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to score enough points to, Cincinnati's defense really sucks. I'm not going to let myself talk myself out of this because I'm bad at making picks this year anyway. So Cincinnati is my pick for that one.
Quick fact check, John. Aaron Rodgers is older than Joe Flacco.
I was thinking that.
Is he really?
Yeah. Joe Flacco, I want to say, is drafted in 2009. Rodgers is maybe 06.
Aaron Rodgers is 41, turning 42 on December 2nd. Joe Flacco is 40, born on January 16th. So Aaron Rodgers is approximately a year and a month older than Joe Flacco.
At least it's only a year. It's only a year. I was ready to be embarrassed and have it be like 3 or 4 years or something like that. Anyway, they're both old.
Yes. Game 2, the Los Angeles Rams are going to Jacksonville, where they are a minus 2.5 favorite. The Rams are favorited by 2.5 points. Matt Stafford versus Trevor Lawrence, the established veteran versus whatever you want to call Trevor
Prince
Lawrence.
Charming.
Yeah, I was thinking of a Lord Farquaad from Shrek.
There you go. That tracks.
Yeah.
If he had dark hair, that would be bad.
Yeah.
But
I'm taking the Rams. We'll just get that out of the way early, quick. You guys go.
no, I'm taking the Rams too. Pat, what do you think?
Well, I think that the Jaguars laid an egg after a really big victory against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, so I think they'll do okay. Give me the Jags.
Bounce back for Jags for Pat.
All right. This is an interesting game. The Eagles reeling, much like the Bills, very similar spot of the Bills, except they're flush with weapons and they don't know how to use them. Going in to Minnesota, where JJ McCarthy looking to come back after his injury break, vacation, timeout, whatever you want to call it. Carson Wentz did amicably. It's a tough word, yeah, in his absence, but McCarthy's questionable leading into this game. Looks like he's going to play. Philly is only a 1.5 point favorite in this game. Pat, we're starting with you today.
Birds, birds, birds.
I'm going Philly too.
Yeah,
Brandon,
I feel like this is going to be Brando's lock of the week. This week didn't have one last week. Still sitting at 2-2. We're taking the Eagles -1.5.
Now I feel less good about my pick.
Well, you
now
better.
That it's the Brando lock of the week. No.
You should feel better about my 2-2 record on the lock of the week than any of these game picks that you're making.
That is very true.
Sorry.
So
you got the trophy, man. You got the trophy.
You're right. I'm the hunted.
All right. Speaking of hunting, Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts are going into LA. They will not be hunting animals in LA, but they are going to play the Chargers. There's no good word play on that game, so I'm going to move on past that, and we're going to say that Los Angeles
It's good that we exhausted
Chargers,
all options, though.
Yeah.
It's good that we explored the space.
Because Indiana Jones, yeah. Chargers -1.5 point favorite here. Is this the week the Colts magic runs out, John?
Nah, I'll take it for one more week. I've been betting against these guys all year, and they haven't proved me wrong yet. So watch it flip this week. But I actually like Indianapolis in this matchup. Amari and Hampton still out, I believe. I like Indy's receivers against Charger secondary.
I believe the guy that ran for like 130 yards last week, or maybe he had 70 yards rushing and 30 yards reception.
Vidal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're fine. But I don't know.
Stick with the Colts. I'm just trying to get you to be confused with your picks.
You're good. Are you going Colts too? Or
no, I'm going Chargers.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I need to make up some ground, so keep picking against me.
Yeah.
I'll either get way worse, but it can't get worse than it is. So, Pat, what do you think for that one?
Los Cargadores. I'll take the Chargers.
Los Cargadores. Is that accurate?
Well, I know like Cargador as like a charger. Los Cargadores.
Those are cargo shorts. I think that's the translation.
Really?
No.
Oh.
I'm just making it up. You don't think Cargadores sounds like cargo shorts?
Sure does.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's
cargo doors. All right. Atlanta. These Falcons are flying into San Francisco all the way out west. San Francisco is a -2.5 point favorite here. With the way Atlanta plays these games, they lose by 30, they win by
whatever they beat the Bills by.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the 49ers here. They could have Mac Jones. They could have Brock Purdy. They could have apparently everybody except Trey Lance win games for them at quarterback. So I'm going to take the Niners here.
Nice. Give me the Dirty Birds. I feel like they ride the hot streak a little bit here. San Francisco's still beat up. Macaroni Jones has looked, admittedly, like a little bit good here. But
I watched him last week, though. He was a little banged up, and he was
not as good as the previous week before that.
Wobbling around on the field. And Fred Warner's hurt, arguably, for the rest of the year. So
yeah, I think he is out for the season. So what do you think, Atlanta or San Fran, Pat?
Well, unfortunately for Kyle Shanahan, my king, my short king, I got to go with the Falcons. What's up?
All right, ATL for Pat.
Isn't Brock Purdy Brock Purdy could start that game too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he's questionable right now. But either way, with Purdy or Jones, I pretty much consider them even, except one makes approximately $254.9 million more than the other.
Yeah.
So good investment. Talk about allocation of resources. Interesting one there. Anyways, game of the week? Question mark. I think exclamation point. I'm talking in punctuation.
So, yeah.
Tampa Bay going into Detroit. Detroit minus 5.5 at home. This could be good. Tampa is injured as well. I saw Chris Godwin's going to be out again, I believe.
Well, Buka was hurt.
Buka went out.
He didn't finish the game.
He didn't, so he might be out this week. I don't know. That's actually, that might sway my pick a little bit, actually.
But it's kind of funny because the guy that was it, is it Roshan Johnson? Is that the like fifth wide receiver on their depth chart? Had like 70 yards yesterday. What's his name?
Are you on the Bucks you're talking?
Like Roshan Johnson, I think is.
Tez Johnson, I'm almost certain.
Tez Johnson. Okay. Roshan is a linebacker.
Is he a linebacker? Okay. But I was looking at players to pick up for my fantasy week because Godwin's out, and it's like every week it's a Tampa guy on the top of the waiver wire because they can throw the ball to anybody because they seem to have a scheme that works pretty good. It's the Baker Mayfield scheme.
This is a revolutionary concept.
That team is deep though. No Bucky Irving. Oh my God, is Rashad White washed? Nope. Apparently everyone's
it's like 25.
Good. Yeah.
Matt, lead the way this week. This one.
Man. I'm going to go with the Bucks. That team is emaciated with injury. And I would pick Tez Johnson on my fantasy team had I not seen him do that handspring immediately after he caught that touchdown. But
that was a deal breaker for you?
That was a deal breaker for me. I'm sorry to pick against the Lions, Brando, but I got to go Bucks here.
I don't know who I'm going to pick yet, so I'm going to go last, and I'm going to let John go in front of me this time.
I had Tampa Bay written down. I should probably just stick with it. My gut says if Emeka Egbuka is out, then maybe I should go with Detroit. Also, Detroit coming off of a loss to the Chiefs is going to be ready to go. 5.5 is a lot for two teams of this caliber, though. So I don't know. I'm going to go with the backdoor cover. I feel like I'm getting points with it, too. I'd probably pick the Lions outright 10 times out of 10, but give me 5.5 points, I guess.
My heart tells me to take the points, but Lions still win, right? Lions win, don't cover. I don't know what I'm going to do yet because I'm going to try to talk myself into something, and I'm not succeeding. So we're just going to say go Lions.
All right. I was going to say... Yeah, we're at the 50-minute mark, so
go
just
Lions.
talk yourself into
I
something
sure
quick.
did. Yeah, go Lions. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. You guys got anything else? Any other closing thoughts?
Enjoy the bye week.
Yeah, I was going to say we will probably be off next week as well because I will be unavailable. We'll be back after the bye week to talk about the Bills' next game. I think they're facing the Panthers, who,
it's in Charlotte.
If you want to worry about it, you can look at how the Panthers beat down the Falcons 30-0 a couple weeks ago. So that's the week to week in the NFL.
Dolphins
we get that, but also Sean McDermott coming out of the bye, pretty good record there as well. So anyway, you guys can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. Shoot us a comment, shoot us some hate mail, any of that stuff you want to do.
Send the hate.
No,
I
feel like we're not usually this negative, but it is a little bit dire. I think we've been very patient up until this point with this Buffalo Bills team. Anyway, I just don't want to waste the golden years of Josh Allen's career. That's really what it's all about. If we didn't have a quarterback right now with a ticking clock attached to it, I'd be just happy to be here. But I don't know. I think that's the extra thing. So anyway, we'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll talk to you guys then. And until then, go Bills.